Today we're going to explore polymers. All you're going to need from home is about a half a cup of water. From your kit, you're going to need your test tubes and test tube rack, a pipette, a mixing spoon, one of the yellow ones. You're going to need this little empty keychain that comes with your kit. This bottle, it has glow-in-the-dark powder in it, your tweezers or forceps, one of the tubes of coloring solution that you got. You can also use paint if you have it. And these little polymer beads. So to set up, what I've already done here is I've taken some of the polymer beads out and filled one of my test tubes up. It was only to about a little bit past the number 1 line, and I add water and watched them grow. And I let them sit for about 10-15 minutes and added water as they used the water up. And as you can see, they've expanded. Now, polymers are used in many industries for absorbing moisture out of the air. And they're used to keep certain products fresh and prevent mold from forming. You might have seen them in the small packets inside of a shoebox, for example. And what I want to explore today is if they can absorb other things, not necessarily just water. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the colorant and make some colored water, and we're going to add it to our different polymer beads here and see if they will absorb not just the water, but the colorant in the water as well. And so what I've done is I've used my tweezers, and it took a little bit of time, but I separated out the beads into clear beads, and I chose red beads. And there's a lot more clear than there are any of the colored ones. That doesn't matter at all. But what we need to do with our last test tube, and you can choose whatever color you want, is we need to prepare some blue water that we're going to be able to mix with these two. And I would say we should prepare probably, we'll start with 10 milliliters. So let me go ahead, and it'll be easier to just do it in here. Unscrew this, add a little bit of our colorant. Just give it a squeeze. Ew. Nice drop, probably about to the number 1 line or so. Doesn't have to be perfect, we just want to have some dark blue water. Ooh, take my pipette, start adding water. Okay. I'm going to screw the cap on here and shake it up. I want to mix it up really good. This is always the fun part. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, it's pretty well mixed up. If you think that the colorant is clumping, you can always add more water or change the ratio, put less paint. Okay, I'm getting it all over myself. I'm glad this is blue. Okay, now what I want to do first is I want to experiment and see what will happen. I know that the blue water, at least the water part of the mixture, will make the beads expand. And I'm using blue so that I can see more clearly. But yeah, I'll know that these are turning blue, but it might just be the water in around them. I won't know if they are absorbing the water themselves until I add the blue to the red ones and I can see them turn purple. So let me start. Here's my pipette. Oh, I don't need clear water. No, I'm going to take some of my blue and start. You're going to want to add quite a lot. Adding it probably to about the 5 milliliter. We'll put half in each of these. And at the beginning, it's just going to cover your beads. You're not going to be able to see them. You're going to have to wait to see what happens. Okay. I have a lot fewer of the red ones, so I don't need to add as much water. Okay. I'm just going to add the rest of the blue here to my clear ones. Okay, and set that aside. Now I'm going to cap and shake to help them kind of with the absorption process a little bit. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is just put these aside and let them sit. Now we know from our first test tube what's going to happen, that these are obviously going to expand. They're getting almost too big for the test tube, in fact. Let's see. Have they absorbed? I'm trying to see if they've absorbed all the water. They've absorbed all that I've put in there. I might want to add more later. So what I want to do next is take my small keychain here, and I want to make a really fun toy for myself. Okay, so I'm just going to take a mix of the polymer beads, and for this you don't want to put too many inside, because when they expand it might be too much and they don't really have room to grow when you add the water once you put the lid on. It's harder because the opening here is harder. I might use one of my funnels actually. So just start dropping the beads in. I'd say, yeah, I probably don't want to do too many. I'm going to add about a ½ centimeter worth of beads just to be on the safe side. I'm not only going to put water in and have a little keychain full of these big colorful beads, I want to make it even cooler. I'm going to put in some of the powder, the glow-in-the-dark powder, so that I'll have a glow-in-the-dark keychain as well. So once I've got my beads, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of tap in some of the powder. You can give the bottle a little squeeze and it will push out some of the powder directly in. Obviously you don't need to use half the bottle or anything, but give it a couple good squeezes, enough to kind of cover the beads, not deeply, but just so it looks kind of like they've got a good coating, all of them. That's all they really need, is to be coated. So let me set that aside. And now we just need to add our water. So I have another pipette here somewhere. I don't, oh well, let me clean this one out. Doesn't matter. Doesn't need to be perfect because I'm more focusing on the glow in the dark. Okay, so just take up some water and go ahead and drop this in. You can fill the water to the top because the beads, that's all they can expand, is how much water they're going to absorb. Let me screw the cap on securely and shake it up. Okay, and you got to make sure you mix it. I can see that the beads and the powder are kind of sticking on the side, so you might want to roll it around or whatever you need to do. You can even open it again, and probably I'm going to use the other end of my little mixing spoon here, spilling out some of it, to kind of really mix it around well. It looks kind of like a tiny snow globe. Okay. I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to set it in the light, because glow-in-the-dark powder, the way it works is it needs to charge. Photons, which are tiny light particles, need to hit the chemicals inside to kind of charge it up like a little battery, and so it will be able to light up. Maybe you have the little glow-in-the-dark stars on your ceiling. They only work if they've been exposed to light. If they're always in the dark, then eventually they'll kind of go dim and you won't see them well anymore. Okay, so I'm going to check on the status of my, oh yeah, they're definitely expanded. My other polymer beads here, I'm going to shake them up a little bit. I notice that while they're expanding, they're kind of getting stuck at the bottom, which didn't happen with these ones. So I'm going to open them up and kind of see if I can knock them loose a little bit, see what's going on here. Because I want them to be able to really have access to all the water and absorb. Yeah, okay. Be patient if you can't see anything yet. I dropped one out. If you hold it up to the light, you can see definitely that they are getting bigger. Okay, set that one there, and then the next. My red ones. Ooh, they're getting bigger. I can, at least from my perspective, they look purple, but if you hold it up to the light, you can really see, but I need them to absorb more water before I can tell for sure. And my keychain, oh, they're starting to get bigger. Yep. So it's a little bit of a waiting process, and that's fine. I'm interested to know what colors you decide to use. Maybe you don't use this colorant, maybe you try other coloring items. And what other things you can think of, other practical applications, safe ways that you can use polymers in your daily life to make things a little bit easier or to make situations a little bit, how would you say, more environmentally friendly. Hi there. By way of update on our last experiment with our polymer beads, I removed the beads from the test tube because they had just grown too big, and I put them in this plastic Christmas ball that I have, and I'm adding more and more water and just watching to see how big they will get. I think they might have reached their maximum, which seemed to be about 2/3 of a centimeter wide, but we'll see with time. My keychain has fully expanded, though I think I added too much of the glow-in-the-dark powder because it just seems really chalky. So maybe try adding a little less, but I want to see. Yeah, even if I put it in my hands, I can clearly see it glowing, which is nice. And for our two different bead colors, I separated out, I pulled out the red beads and the clear beads to see if they really did absorb the color or not. And I noticed something interesting. I took water and one of each bead I rinsed off really well, like so. One of my clear and one of my red. And then I just grabbed it. You can use tweezers if you want. You can use your finger. If you use your finger, you might break them, which is fine. And actually breaking them helps you see the inside a little bit better to see if it really absorbed. And what's interesting is you can see obviously it got bigger because it absorbed the water, but the inside has not really changed color. These have not, the red ones have not really turned purple. The imperfections in them, the little micro cracks in them, kind of took in the coloring a little bit, but the polymer bead itself did not absorb the color as I expected it would, so it's absolutely not what my hypothesis was, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, I'll see you next time.